Hey folks, and welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, a podcast where three friends drink alone together. My name's Chris.
What up, it's Ted.
And I'm Obert.
And despite us talking a big game about having a really fun idea for the first of the month, we're going with hashtag stout season.
I think that's a good solid theme. Might not be the most exclusive, but I think we're all really excited about our drinks this week.
That is true. Maybe I'm being a little too hard on ourselves, but we're all pretty excited for the beers that we have lined up for later on in the show.
Yeah, I mean, it is that time of the year.
Yes, it is, Ted. What a wise insight.
It is stout season. Yeah, when it starts to get cold and you have to start thinking about the upcoming holiday or holidays, and it's nice and cold outside, well, then you want to just warm up with something that's going to be nice and hearty and delicious.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. But before we get into that, Tud, you are being all fancy, living the high life up in the Finger Lakes. Yeah, Pinky's out.
Yeah, Pinky's out all the way.
How was your trip?
It was good. So for those of you that don't know, I went to the Finger Lakes in the state of New York this past weekend, to Seneca Lake. And around there, they have the Seneca Lake Wine Trail.
So you really only went to one Finger Lake?
Yes, only one of the fingers.
It just doesn't sound that great when you say, I went to a Finger Lake this weekend. Gotta say the Finger Lakes, I guess, but only really one.
Right.
Yeah, I went to the Finger Lakes, but only visited one. I did drive around that entire lake.
Okay.
So we went up there for what's called Deck the Halls, which is an event where basically any vineyard on the wine trail can participate, but there's like 75 vineyards on the Seneca Lake Wine Trail, so 30 participated. And what happens is you show up to your first vineyard, which you've already decided in advance that that's the one you're going to. So you show up there on one of the days, give them your ticket, they give you a wreath and an ornament, and then they give you basically a ticket that has to get stamped at each vineyard. And as you show up to the different vineyards, you get a stamp, you get a tasting, and you get an ornament. So the idea is basically you build a wreath that's decorated with the ornaments from the different vineyards up there.
Okay. So it's like wizard staff, but instead of ending up with a really long aluminum tube, you end up with actual ornaments on a wreath.
I guess. I don't know that other thing.
Oh, good. I think you would have too much fun playing it. Basically, it's when you and a couple friends all get 30s of cheap beer, and then after you finish drinking a beer, you grab your next beer and duct tape the empty can to the bottom of the one you're currently drinking. Then it's called wizard staff, because when you're done at the end of the day, you're a wizard staff of empty cans. And then you eventually start swinging them at each other, and it's a lot of fun.
30 beers, though? Wow, that's a lot.
This needs to happen.
Mean, you don't have to finish all 30. But...
Oh, no. This needs to happen. So, Chris, when I come down to Tennessee in less than a month, do you want to play some wizard staff?
I mean, I'm sure we could, or we shouldn't, but we probably will.
We could always invite Grady over too.
Oh God,
as another competitor.
By all means, I mean, you're going to be in Nashville. Might as well get him in the mix.
So bottom line, how many ornaments did you end up with?
So we ended up with all of them. On Friday, our goal was to do like 7 or 8 on Friday, and we got through 6. So yesterday or Saturday, we got a limo for the 6 of us, and basically just had the limo driver drive us around to the rest of the wineries, where we were running in, getting the ornament, drinking the tasting, buying whatever we wanted to buy, and getting back in the limo and going.
Speed running the wine trail.
Yes. Yep. And we were successful.
Yeah, that's a lot of wine in 2 days.
Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie. Going to bed at 9 o'clock, 9:30 each night was a thing. Being too drunk to really function, but still going out to dinner and spending way too much money on dinner, also a thing.
That sounds like a Todd thing.
Yeah. So we went out to this Austrian like German place last night for dinner. Had like Wiener Schnitzel and all that type of stuff. Everybody got like a dessert. So some people got like German chocolate cake or other things like that. I ordered a dessert sausage.
How was that?
It was delicious. It was like
what's
it wasn't
dessert
like
sausage?
Wasn't like a chocolate sausage. It was like I ordered a knockwurst for my dessert.
Oh, so it wasn't like a special like candy covered sausage. It
No,
was
no,
just
no. I was like, hey, I'm done with dinner. Everybody's getting dessert. I ordered a hard coffee and, a German sausage.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense. I
I
was
was confused
thinking,
too.
yeah, like a chocolate coated Wiener Schnitzel or whatever,
Yeah.
covered in Reese's Pieces or something.
Oh no, this was just a general like boiled knockwurst with spicy mustard, and I had a hard coffee.
I was picturing a blood sausage filled with like Hershey syrup. Gross.
That would be gross.
So yeah, like you alluded to at the beginning of the episode, this I think is the beer I've been most excited about for the podcast since we started recording. I think actually, I'm really excited to dive into this one.
Yeah, me too. This beer that I'm drinking is something I've been sitting on for a while, so pretty excited about that as well.
Yeah, me too. I haven't been sitting on this beer for a while. I just kind of picked it up today, but only came out about a week and a half ago, so I'm excited to talk about it. This is probably one of the quickest turning beers I've been able to bring to the pod.
Well, I mean, we're all excited. I think we should just dive right into it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you guys think.
Oh yeah.
Obert, go ahead.
Oh,
Okay. I'll go first.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be our first cork pop here. I am drinking from Big Sky Brewing Company out of Missoula, which has previously been featured on the pod. I'm drinking Ivan the Terrible, the 2018 edition, which is their bourbon barrel aged version. All right,
Nice.
Here we go.
I'm pretty jealous of you. Ooh. That's awesome.
Oh. So yeah, this is going to be live reaction here. All right, so before I take a sip, I wanted to read the description on Untappd of this beer. Big Sky Brewing's Ivan the Terrible Imperial Stout is brewed according to the traditional style using English hops and the finest American malt. Its aroma and flavor balance well between esters of dried fruit and roasted cocoa with a slight bourbon presence. So, that being said, cheers.
It sounds delicious.
Oh yeah, this is really good. Yeah,
I bet.
Everything you want in an imperial stout. It's rich, kind of velvety chocolate, very smooth. No, I feel like I could stick a spoon in it and it would stick straight up. Just really awesome beer, and I think they just rested it on the bourbon barrels for long enough. I think I saw 3 months, which is not not going to overpower the beer with that bourbon taste, but just enough to mellow it out. And yeah, very good.
I've definitely heard of Ivan the Terrible before. I've never had it, but it's always been on like my to drink list. So I'm pretty jealous of you right now.
Yeah, I thought I had it before, but I've definitely heard of it. So I have not had it.
Yeah, to allude to a maybe future segment, this is apparently Montana's best beer, and I could see why. Yeah.
Would you consider it the best beer you've had from the state so far?
That's a really tough question.
Is it Ivan the Terrible or is it Moose Drool?
Well, they're the same brewery.
Are they really?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Big Sky has previously been on our podcast before with Moose Drool. You know what, Todd? If there's a better beer from Montana, you know what? Maybe I've had Three Wise Men from Bonsai, but since I moved here, yeah, I think this is probably the best beer I've had from them, from the state of Montana. It's really good. It's tough to come down with a rating, having just tried it right now, but I think I'm going to go with a 4.5, maybe 4.75. No, 4.5. 4.5.
Wow, that's a really good rating, though.
Yeah, and just as a disclaimer, I might start getting silly by the end of this podcast because we're sitting at 11.3%, 11.5%, and I have 3/4 of a liter of beer to finish. So, cheers.
It's gonna be a fun episode.
Yeah, one of those ones.
Cool, awesome.
All right, so after my cork pop, let's get to a beer that Chris has certainly waited long enough to have had.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be the official second cork pop of the podcast.
Oh
boy! Hold on, let's see how. Well
maybe that should have been the theme: was popping corks.
Oh god! Oh,
it was kind of weak sauce compared to Obert's.
That was disappointing.
Yeah.
Obert sounded so good. So I am drinking something that I have been sitting on for like 2 years, maybe. I'm drinking, I believe it's the 2015 rendition. I don't think they have the bottling date on it, of Hardywood Brewing's gingerbread stout, the original gingerbread stout. It's their imperial milk stout with fresh local ginger and honey. And the little quote is from Beer Advocate, and it says, "Friggin' Christmas in a bottle. Our score 100."
Wow.
Beer Advocate. So I got this as like a thank you gift in a beer trade a couple years back, and I've kind of just been putting it aside, but I'm waiting for the right time. And hashtag stout season on our podcast seems to be the right time. So let's see how this has held up over the last couple of years.
Awesome.
So it's definitely aged. I don't get a ton of what I think it's supposed to taste like. Which, it's not bad by any means, but I don't know if it was something that shouldn't have sat as long as it did.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't say it's definitely aged for the better.
No.
So let me ask, was the bottle pasteurized?
I have no idea.
So just a fun fact for our listeners out there. If a beer is pasteurized, it will age. I mean, its flavors will develop accordingly with age. But if a beer is pasteurized, technically you're not supposed to age it.
That makes sense to me because pasteurizing will kill all the yeast. So there
Right.
won't be any more activity. Nothing is going on in the bottle.
Yep. So if you have a beer that's pasteurized, a stout or whatever, you can age it. I mean, it will last, but the flavors you're supposed to get will turn subtle over time because it's pasteurized. But if it's not pasteurized, those are the types of beers you can throw in the cellar and age for years, and it legitimately will change. So like a Dogfish Head 120 is not pasteurized for that exact reason. So it will change and develop and become more alcoholic over time.
I think most craft brews are not pasteurized. I think a lot of the adjunct beers like your Budweiser and etc., they pasteurize those to preserve the flavor, but I would guess that most things, especially bottled things, are not pasteurized.
So what happens with a lot of those too is if they are not pasteurized, if there's a disease in the beer when it was being brewed, it'll continue to sit in the bottle and could cause the bottles to explode. So you'll see a lot of like major, well-known stout brands pasteurized to avoid that. We'll get into that in a little bit because I have some more information on that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't taste bad by any means. It does taste stronger than what is advertised, but I'm definitely not getting like the gingerbread. Maybe a tiny hint of it, but not anything crazy. It's like it's almost like just a normal imperial milk stout.
Okay.
Which I'm not upset about. I don't hate it. So, yeah, I keep taking sips, and I think I'm getting a little bit more. I wonder if some of like the sediment or something is working its way through, but
yeah, well, is it maybe as it warms up too?
Right. But it is 9.2% alcohol that it says on the bottle, and I mean it's good.
Does it say anything about what temperature it's supposed to be consumed at?
It does say on the bottle, so maybe this is part of it. It says to savor at 55 degrees.
So if you drink it colder than that, what do you have to do with it?
I think I either have to chug it or throw it away. I'm not sure which.
Wait, and what if it's too warm?
Then I have to feed it to the cats.
Oh.
No, it's a good beer. I wish I hadn't waited as long as I did. I think it might have taken some of the edge off, but like I said, it's just kind of like a nice imperial stout now, and I don't hate that at all. So
that's the struggle as like somebody who like myself and like you and like Obert who collects beer is if you only get one, you have to make that really hard choice of do I age it and keep it for a certain time, or do I drink it right away so I know what the heck it's supposed to taste like?
Yeah. When are you going to drink it?
Right.
Yeah, that is the tough part. And if anybody out there has like a good like law, like if I only have one, drink it right away or whatever, write in, let us know, because I don't know the right answer.
But here's my technological solution, right? And I don't know what the right time would be, but what you could do, say, all right, this is a beer that should be aged for, I'll make up something and say 18 months. Yeah, I would make a Google Calendar reminder and say, okay, 17 months from now, remind me, you have 30 days to drink this beer. And if at the end of those 30 days you haven't found a good excuse to drink it, well, then you just drink it with dinner the next day. Because, yeah, I do that all the time. I'll save a beer for a special occasion. But how do you know what's a good occasion for drinking a beer? Sometimes you just got to be like, you know what? My special occasion, it's a Wednesday and I have a really good steak for dinner, so I'm going to pop open this beer I've been aging.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have some stuff in the cellar I got to go through and pull out, but anyways. But yeah, this is it's a solid beer. And actually, the more I'm drinking it, the more I am picking up some of that gingerbread flavor. It's probably not as potent as it was when it was first bottled, but I'm picking up a little bit of it.
As we're getting to closer and closer to savoring temperature?
Right. It was probably like 48 degrees. Yeah, it's probably like 48 degrees. It's probably getting close, 53 degrees now.
Now, did you turn the bottle sideways and roll it too before you had it?
I did not. I did think about that after I poured it, but I was like, okay. Well, too late now.
So just a tip for our listeners out there, if you have an old bottle of beer and you want to, whether it be or it doesn't even have to be a bottle, or it could be an old can of IPA, if you turn it on its side and gently roll it forward and backward before you open it, you'll remix some of the sediment back into the beer and bring a little bit more flavor out as well. Hashtag fun fact.
Yeah, that is a good pro tip right there.
See, I've had beers that are too sedimenty, and then I intentionally don't roll them and just leave the bottom 10% in the bottle so that I don't get all that crud.
Some of that's your flavor.
Yeah, depending on what you're drinking, yeah. That could be some of the good stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta love that chunky beer, the one you can chew.
Yeah. So, Chris, what are you gonna say about this beer?
So all said, all things considered, I wish I drank it sooner, but it's still a good beer. I'm going to give it a solid 4 because it's a good stout, even if I don't get all the ginger that it's supposed to have, at least right now. That's probably my fault. But Todd, I think you deserve to drink a beer instead of some wine. So What are you drinking tonight?
So I am drinking the 2018 version of Goose Island's Bourbon County brand stout. This is the yearly tradition that they release on Black Friday every year, and it's it's been like their calling card for as long as Goose Island's been around. They post on their website that they've been brewing it for over 20 years, and they claim that the recipe has not changed in over 20 years. So it's been sitting out a little bit to get it, a little bit warmer from the fridge so I can get some of the hints of the different flavors. So let's try it out. Wow, that's a boozy beer. Whew.
I think this is the first time a beer's left you speechless on the podcast.
Yeah, so I get a lot of, obviously a lot of bourbon flavor. This beer is, just an FYI, is 15.2% ABV.
Cheers.
So,
oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
So there's definitely a lot of bourbon, but there's some sweetness to it, a little bit of caramel, and almost like a cookie flavor. Think like sugar cookie is kind of like what I would compare it to. And having had older versions of these and obviously this newer one, when they're fresh like this, they seem to always have that cookie flavor that dissipates over time. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of caramel, a little hint of chocolate, obviously a lot of bourbon flavor, a little bit of smoke from the oak from the bourbon barrels. Overall, really solid beer. I would probably give this probably a 4.5. It is solid. I don't think you could drink more than one of these bottles in a sitting, and I think it's going to take me a while to get through this bottle in and of itself.
So that beer in particular, I try to find every year and almost never find it. So
I've never had it before. I've never even seen it.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
You have to go. It's one of those things where everybody who wants it, they know it comes out on Black Friday. So there'll be lines of people waiting to get this beer outside of liquor stores. So we showed up to Total Wine this year to try to get some of the variants because they come out with multiple different types of Bourbon County. And they said they had a line starting at 6 a.m. The place opened at 8 a.m.
Wow.
So people were waiting outside of liquor stores for 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, they love their beer in Montana, but the beer culture isn't a thing like that here. I've noticed. I haven't found any places that really celebrate those crazy out there, hard to find beers.
So just to give our listeners a little bit more of a background, by the way, this beer is aged in 4+ year old Heaven Hill bourbon barrels. So Heaven Hill is the bourbon company that makes Elijah Craig. and Heaven Hill and other types of bourbon out there. So what they do is they'll take those barrels, they'll put them away for however long they keep them for. But you're supposed to get flavors of cocoa, vanilla, caramel, almond, cherry, plus leather and tobacco. Definitely taste the tobacco. I don't really taste the cherry, so maybe the almond is the cookie flavor I'm getting in the beer.
Mm.
Every year they come out with different variants. So this year they came out with the original, obviously, is always the standard. Reserve Bourbon County brand stout is the same recipe but aged in 12-year-old barrels instead. Proprietor's Blend, which is even more up the scale, and then they have their other like weird flavors like orange and vanilla and coffee. Just to circle back to complete this whole conversation, Bourbon County was one of those beers that they used to not pasteurize before they sold. And in 2015, there was an infection throughout the entire batch. And so what happened was people had them on their shelves at their house, and the infection was still growing with the yeast, and the bottles were exploding in people's homes.
Yeah, I heard even with, obviously with the infection too, that if you went to drink them fresh, they tasted like garbage.
Yes.
I didn't have a 2015. I think that's one of the years I didn't get, but
yeah, so that was a real big issue for Goose Island, obviously, because they are now owned by Anheuser-Busch InBev. The major beer company was not really satisfied with hearing that bottles of their beer were exploding.
Yeah, that's pretty disastrous for their more or less their flagship crazy craft brew.
Yeah, and the Proprietor Blend, those bottles can run, around $50 to $60 a bottle. So to have one of those sitting on your shelf and just to come in one day and see it exploded, I'm pretty sure you can imagine some people's anger.
Now, I know you mentioned that the reserve or whatnot went for how much a bottle did you say? Like $60?
Yeah, and I think that's what, obviously without package store owners gouging the prices, but yeah, I think it's like $50-$60 a bottle.
What's the most that you guys have ever paid for a beer, not at like a bar, but for something you enjoyed at home?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh man. Probably not as expensive as people would think. I mean, I just paid $25 for a bomber, and that's pretty pricey for me.
Yeah, I know we've talked on the pod too before about how expensive the bottles from Fox Farm can be. I think that was up there,
that big bottle of Anata was like $40.
Wow,
yeah.
$40 from the brewery, huh?
Yeah, but you didn't see it though. It was huge.
It's like the size of like a giant champagne bottle.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a big bottle. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, probably about $25-$30 for me for a bomber of beer.
I think that Fox Farm beer, I mean, if we're going to count just total dollar amount, would be the Anata, because it was 2.5 times the normal size of the normal bottle of Anata. As far as dollar amount to ounces go, I've spent $25 on a few bombers every now and then. So that's probably about the average for most expensive I'll go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this beer I bought today was around $20, but and it's a lot. But I tell you what, this beer's pretty worth it.
Now I will say there is a beer that's on my bucket list. That's only brewed in Germany that I think is like $40 or $50 a bottle.
What beer is that?
That's Snake Venom. It's the strongest beer in the world. It's 67% alcohol by volume. So
wow.
It's on my bucket list. I'm probably gonna, if I ever do get it, it's probably gonna be terrible, or I'm not gonna like it because it's so strong. But
yeah,
you can't not drink the strongest beer in the world.
Well, I know I saw an interesting article about that because it's been a title that's been going around, over the years. It's every few years or 9 to 12 months, someone will come and take the crown. And I know it was a big push to reach that 50% mark in a beer. It was a technological achievement when they hit that.
At what point does it not become beer?
Well, that's an interesting point to how they make it, because I think up to a certain point you can make ice beer and just make a beer, freeze water out of it, and then kind of coalesce it that way and get it stronger and stronger. But at a certain point, it won't freeze as easily. I think I'm not really that knowledgeable on at a certain point you can't do that process anymore. I don't know how they make it stronger beyond that point. Before it's just vapor distilling, which is then it's liquor.
I've definitely heard of ice beer before. That's a term that I've definitely heard of, but
You mean like the classics?
Natty Ice.
Yeah, Keystone, Bud. So I know we promised our listeners last week when we were doing our very literal mailbag, we would have an answer to them on an intriguing question about the difference between a stout and a porter.
Yes, we did. Dan asked, "What makes a stout, and a porter?"
And this is Dan, friend of the pod, not Dan, enemy of the pod, right?
Right. Well, he wrote in and he listens every week, so he's friend of the pod.
Okay.
Still waiting for that first rival email.
Yeah, right. Well, if you listen to us, you're drinking alone with friends. So what are you going to do?
Point.
So did a little bit of research on this one because, for our hashtag stout season episode, I think it's only fair that we answer the long debate of what is a stout and what is a porter. And it's really not as exciting as it may seem at first.
It's the debate as old as time.
Well, it's a debate as old as the 1810s.
Oh, I'm glad we got an actual date on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It all starts way, way back when everybody lived in England.
Once upon a time.
But everything originated in England. The porter was one of their favorite beers that they brewed. It seemed to be one of the mainstays. They brewed porters almost all the time.
When you think English beers, you think porters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, one of my favorite English beers is Sam Smith. Their porter's pretty good.
Oh, I see. I don't think I've had that one, but
their stout's also pretty good too. We'll probably get into that in a second. So.
And essentially what happened was over time, brewers got better and better at making beer. And like they do now, and like Obert was saying, they were trying to push the limits of how much alcohol they can fit into a beer. So that's how the stout came along. They started messing with the ingredients, messing with the malt, messing with the bar. They used to use primarily malted barley. And then they've started switching it up into unmalted barley, and this whole, it became a whole ordeal. And what they made was what they called a strong porter. So strong porter back then was also, equivalent or also known as a brown stout. Huh. That was the beginning of it all. And they kind of from there split a little bit. So one thing that did happen is as the brewing styles reached United Kingdom and then United States, it really started to almost not necessarily bring the two closer together, but they're not as indistinguishable as they were back in the 1800s or whenever that split actually began. So you can have porters that are stronger than stouts now and vice versa.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
right. So it used to be a bigger deal, you would know right off the bat, oh, this is a stout, this is a porter.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And in England, you could actually find stout pale ales too. So it was a term that came along.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, the long of the short of it is originally, long time ago, a stout was simply just a stronger version of a porter, but today the difference is basically whatever you want it to be. It's one of those things almost like the triple IPA we mentioned
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about you guys. I mean, I've had stouts, including the one I'm drinking tonight, versus porters, and I can tell a distinct difference between the two.
Huh. Now, when you say that, what characteristics would you assign to a stout versus a porter?
There's something about maybe it's because they're stronger, but they almost feel more, a stout feels more full to me.
I was just going to say that. A fuller body, to me, embodies a stout. Okay, exactly. I'm glad we're on the same page there.
All right, there we go.
Why would you say that is? I mean, do you think it's because stouts are in today's day and age predominantly made with milk or like an oatmeal or that type of stuff, while a porter's made with lighter substance? So kind of like what popped in my head real quick was Guinness is a stout.
Yep.
But Guinness does not taste like what I expect a stout to taste like. Guinness to me tastes more like a porter because it's not as heavy.
Guinness is very, very dry for a stout. But that's a good point. I mean, you think about it, and right now I'm drinking a milk stout, but I also have a chocolate stout in the fridge, and they do add those extra elements that add more to this beer. So I wonder if that is why I feel that way. But generally, I prefer a stout over a porter.
Me as well.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that if you looked at stouts versus porters, the key distinction nowadays is calories. I would guess that most stouts have more calories because they just have more stuff in them.
Unless you're
Right.
drinking a Guinness.
Right.
Well, yeah, because that's more of the traditional style. Less
Least caloric beer you can drink.
Yeah, less calories per ounce than skim milk.
# drink beer instead.
Yeah.
You got a child and they're eating some cereal, just pour some Guinness in there.
Going to this Samuel Smith thing, that's one of like the oldest breweries in London. One of my favorite stouts by them, just for our listeners out there, and I know some people aren't really much into the craft beer craze as we are. I would
Probably not the best podcast.
Right. I would recommend them going out and getting the organic chocolate stout by Samuel Smith. It's just a good starter stout that's just fantastic. I recommend staying away from the oyster stouts.
You don't like oyster stouts?
I like them. I don't think somebody who's trying to get into stouts may like them.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, that's fair.
So oyster stouts actually did used to be brewed with oysters, which is absolutely disgusting. And over time, they have grown to be considered more a stout that's good to drink with oysters nowadays. They're not generally brewed with oysters. Some companies out there, I guess, still brew with the classic sense of throwing oysters in the barrel with the beer, but a lot of them are just considered okay drinking with oysters.
Oh, so it's just oyster in name now, just like how they don't make Bloody Marys with real blood anymore.
Is that a thing?
No, that was a joke.
Yeah, yeah. It's this thing we do sometimes.
Yeah. I see that didn't really go anywhere.
So, Tud, you're disgusted by the fact that they used to have oysters? Do you not like oysters?
I do like oysters, but something about having an oyster. I know oysters can go bad. Like if they can give you stomach aches. They can give you food poisoning. Something about having raw fish inside of the beer that's fermenting.
Well, it's not really raw
It's raw.
If you're putting it in boiling water with all of your other ingredients and cooking it for an hour.
What if they dry hop with it?
I'm out on a limb here, but I'm willing to bet that they add it earlier in the brewing process.
Nope. Modern oyster stouts may be made with a handful of oysters in the barrel. Hence the warning by one establishment, the Porterhouse Brewery in Dublin, that their award-winning oyster stout is not suitable for vegetarians. So these people are dry hopping with oysters. I'm not doing that. I'm not getting on board that train. I'm going to stay far away. No way.
Yeah, okay, so one of the oyster stouts that I actually enjoyed from Connecticut was from Outer Light, and that was the Noank oyster stout.
Oh, yeah, I bet that's made with real oysters.
Wait, yep, made with whole Noank oysters.
Yeah,
so,
I've had that one before.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean,
yeah, I don't like oysters. I mean, I think they're okay, but to me, it's like eating snot, but it tastes like the ocean. That's how I've always described oysters. And I don't know.
It's an apt way to describe oysters.
The snot of the ocean. Yeah. That makes Titanic a really different movie.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. They're like ocean boogers.
But Dan, there you go. There's your difference. I know it was
a deep dive.
A deep dive into oysters and stouts and porters and boogers and all the things you asked about. So I know it was a little delayed, but you got. I think it's more than worth the wait.
I feel like we need a catchphrase for when we answer somebody's question so thoroughly.
Okay, let's hear it, Ted.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that popped into my head was, have you guys ever seen the episode of The Office where they're having the roast and Michael just sits up there and he's been roasted the entire night and he just gets up there and he goes, boom, roasted.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have something like that where it's like, boom, answered. Or boom, roasted, or boom, something.
Boom,
that
chocolate.
Was easy, as Chris's favorite office supply store would say.
I used to work for them a long time ago.
You got doffed.
You got doffed.
You got.
I like doffed better.
Maybe we could get the guy from AOL to say it for us.
You got doffed.
Hello. You got doffed. Goodbye. So I was looking at this list, and I'll send it over to you guys. The best beer in every state, 2018.
Ooh.
I'm kind of a sucker for these lists. I see them on like Yahoo or whatever.
You're the person who keeps BuzzFeed in business.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I hate slideshows, but anything that is the best blank of every state, I'm a sucker for that format. So when I saw this article, I had to click on it. The best beer in every state. And
so you hear that, folks? Blame Obert for all the BuzzFeed articles.
Yeah, well, sure. I'll take that. I'll take all that blame. But without this article, I don't know if I'd be drinking Ivan the Terrible tonight. And that is courtesy of this list as Montana's best beer.
Ooh, so what are you going to do for the rest of the episodes? You're done. You beat Montana.
Yeah, that's a good point. I peaked too early.
It's only been 3 months.
I know.
That's it. Time to pack up and move out of Montana.
That's it. Time for the next one.
Gotta go to Wyoming.
At this rate, I'll have 3 months per state.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool list. I mean, I'm looking at Tennessee's right now, and I can't say I agree, but, to each their own. So they went with Sioux by Yazoo Brewing Company, which is in Nashville. I had this beer back in January when I came down for my interview. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Untapped. I don't remember it though. But
has Yazoo made it to the podcast yet?
They have not. No. So maybe I'll have to beat Tennessee one of these days coming up.
I will say that I've told people up here that one of my buddies moved down to Tennessee. And the only brewery that people ask about, they don't ask about Bearded Iris or Southern Grist, is they ask about Yazoo Brewing, which is the weirdest thing to me because I've never heard them. You've never really talked about them. But people up here ask about it in Connecticut.
I mean, they make some good stuff. I went there, like I said, I was down here for like a day. I think I was down here for like 30 hours, maybe a little bit more. And I went to like 3 breweries in that time after my interview.
As one does.
Yeah, right.
When deciding if you can move to a place.
And Yazoo was one of them. And they had good stuff. They had I'm not going to remember the name of it, but it was I think it was like a sour ale it was a Saison that they aged in red wine barrels. That's what it was. And it was really, really good. I can't remember the name of it, but I haven't been back since, so I don't know. But I'm gonna see if I can hunt down some Sioux and get it on the podcast because apparently it's the best beer in Tennessee.
Well, for Connecticut, they have listed Fuzzy Baby Ducks.
That is a good one
By New England Brewing Company. Again, though, I don't know if it's considered. I don't know if I'd consider it the best. I mean, at the very least, there is another beer called Double Fuzzy Baby Ducks that I think is better, anyways.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I noticed that on this list. They tried to avoid if there was a popular beer that they then took to the next level, they would stick with the original popular beer. Like they have 90-minute IPA for Delaware out of Dogfish Head as opposed to going out to 120-minute, or like King Julius is the Massachusetts one, which we've talked about Treehouse before on this podcast, and I know they have, what is it, Julius?
Yeah, but in that same tone, wouldn't they have just kept it as Julius then?
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the double
the Duzzle Favy Bucks.
the double Favy Bucks. That's like a relatively, I say relatively new beer. Only the last few years they've been brewing that. Wouldn't you think they would go with like a G-Bot or something like that? I don't know.
Well, this is of 2018, right?
True,
right.
True.
Yeah, this is the list for this year.
They could have anything, and that, if it's of this year, that bothers me even more that it's Fuzzy Baby Ducks, because you could have Fox Farm or Counterweight.
Yeah, they're good too.
Or, name a brewery at this point in Connecticut, and they probably have an argument of having one of the better beers in the state. And don't get me wrong, Fuzzy Baby Ducks is great, but I don't know if I don't think it would be in my top 5. It goes, it's kind of like if you're looking at Vermont, it's Heady Topper. Looking at Maine, it's Dinner. Those are really good beers in of their own right. But at a certain point, Heady Topper is probably not the best beer from Vermont anymore.
It's not even the best beer from The Alchemist.
Right. But it is the granddaddy of Vermont beer.
Oh,
same thing with Dinner.
It's hard to dethrone the king.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like, I still get excited to see a Heady Topper,
Even scrolling through this list when I saw the can, I got a little excited.
But now I'm going to drink it from a glass, goddammit.
Dinner is like Maine's like flagship beer, but like Bissell Brothers is better.
Also,
What's the other one?
if anybody has a
there?
dinner that they want to send to Tennessee, let me know. I've never had it before.
Or come
Yeah,
to
me
Connecticut,
neither.
or just send it to Connecticut because I'm closer.
But don't.
Or do.
Are there any on this list that you're really intrigued on trying? This one from Alaska, A Deal with the Devil, looks pretty cool, but also it said the 2017 release cost $300 for a 6-pack.
Holy
Which
wow.
sounds insane.
That's...
I know, we were talking about how much beers cost and what you would spend. I don't know if I could spend...
Well, if we split it 3 ways, it's only $100.
Oh, good.
That's true, and we'd each get 2 beers.
I mean, if someone could hook us up, we could probably make it happen, but that's a lot. That would be the most I spent on beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm currently drinking the best beer from Illinois.
Ooh.
So,
damn, I'm the only one not
so.
drinking the best of a state. Shit.
Now, out of all these beers that I'm like on this list, the only one that I can say that I've had, and I would agree, and this is sight unseen of other beers in their state, would be Indiana with Zombie Dust. Zombie Dust is one of my favorite beers, and I can't imagine Indiana having a better beer than Zombie Dust, because I think it would be one of the best beers from Connecticut if it was brewed in Connecticut as well.
I've never had Zombie Dust, but another one that I saw...
Oh, it's so good.
I've had some other Three Floyd stuff, which was really good. But one that I saw that I totally agree with as well is Rhode Island's. Rhode Island.
I was just going to point to that.
Yeah.
Too.
And I was going to point to that as an example of one that wasn't as good.
Okay, so no, I'm interested in to hear that. What's your favorite Rhode Island beer?
I like, I think anything.
Did we
by
say
Tilted.
Captain's Daughter? That's what. Yeah.
So the one by Rhode Island is Captain's Daughter. Captain's Daughter got really popular on the same time that Sip was getting popular. And I was always a Sip person, so I always kind of leaned that way. I thought Captain's Daughter was a little bit too piney for me. I would say that, Tilted Barn, I've had 2 or 3 of their beers. All of those are better. I can't remember the names of them. And then there's Proclamation that I've never been to that I heard was up there with some of the best breweries in the area.
Oh, you know what? I have heard that the same. I haven't had any of their stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I like myself a Captain's Daughter.
That was the first beer I remember Chris being obsessed with. Chris was trying to get Captain's Daughter left and right when I think shortly after your bachelor party, if I remember, in that time frame.
I mean, I do enjoy Captain's Daughter quite a bit.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of goes back to that accessibility argument.
Yeah,
Captain's
absolutely.
Daughter is extremely accessible, therefore perfect for like this type of list.
Right.
So maybe the Ivan the Terrible is not the best beer in Montana, but it is the most accessible, awesome beer from Montana.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a state this big, and Big Sky is one of the few breweries that I've seen export beer beyond the state lines, reasonably far. So I could see how, compared to, we have a lot of small scale microbrew that don't bottle or can, and I could see how this could make the list, even if it's not the best. So it leaves me hope that maybe there's other ones out there that'll top the list.
By the way, this 15.2% beer is really starting to hit me.
Yeah, but we'll link to the list, thedailymeal.com's list of the best beer in every state, and we want to hear your feedback. Let us know which ones we didn't talk about that you really agree with or think they picked the wrong beer from, and if you have suggestions for what we should try from different states, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah,
and if you find some and you have some that you can share with us, let us know. We'd love to share.
Yeah, and if you're from Missouri, this Abraxas looks really good. So just go ahead and, again, just send that up to Tennessee.
I will say I do agree with I agree with Louisiana probably has their second best beer on the list. So Ghost in the Machine by Parish Brewing Company is pretty good.
Not as good as their shoes.
I knew it was coming.
I don't get that joke.
Just
gotta go
watch Jumanji.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. The new one or the?
No, the old one.
No, the new one doesn't count. So with that, should we turn to our Frosty Mug of Wisdom?
I think so. I think it's about that time.
Yeah. Okay. Who wants to go first? All right, I'll go first. I'm this week going to recommend a podcast. It's just something that I enjoy in the world.
It's Drinking Alone with Friends.
Yeah. No, a podcast to listen to after Drinking Alone with Friends.
Okay.
You mean Drinking Alone with Friends?
also a Thursday release. So, after you put this at the top of your queue,
No. They have to listen to this again.
after you listen to this for the second time, of course, you have to download it twice to make Chris happy because it's all about the numbers.
It's all about the downloads.
You should listen to Reply All. It's a show from Gimlet Media, hosted by Alex and PJ, and they talk. The concept of the show started as podcasts about the internet, but it's really evolved into more of technology and how we interact with it and how it spills over into the everyday world. And they've done some really interesting shows, and they have good chemistry as hosts. Some of the most notable ones I can think of is they were following up with, the calls you'll get from spammers in India saying, oh, there's a problem with your Microsoft Office or Windows. Go to this website and we'll fix it for you. And most of the time you just hang up on them.
Is your refrigerator running? You better go.
Yeah. Yeah, and they want you to download some malware and screw up your computer. But what they ended up doing was they followed up with the story, and long story short, they ended up in India at one of these call centers trying to understand how this takes place and the world behind it. And that was a really interesting story. I think they made that a 2 or 3 parter.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the name of the podcast again?
Reply All. I would really recommend it. They don't release this consistently as some of your other favorite podcasts, like Drinking Alone with Friends, who's here every week.
Right.
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine. We don't let no rain stop us from recording. We're hardcore like that.
We're out here in the pouring rain.
Yeah. Freezing cold, the sleet, whatever. We're recording.
It was actually 65 today, so it's fine.
Nothing will get between us and our beer for you, the listener. But they have a tremendous backlog that you can go and check out. So Reply All is my handle for this week. And check them out. So with that being said, which one of you am I handing this frosty mug of wisdom off to for the second handle?
I'm going to graciously back away so I don't get punched in the face this time.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Back up. I'll take the mug. I'll take the central handle. My handle this week is actually kind of I don't know if it's a life hack or if it's just a smart buying technique, but recently my wife and I have been buying small kitchen appliances, like a air fryer and a Instapot and stuff like that.
Kitchen gadgets is what I call those.
Yeah, kitchen gadgets. And we've gone on Amazon and we've looked up, done our research and looked up new ones. And so if on Amazon you have this option, not for everything, but for some things, where you can buy it for new for retail price, or if you're lucky enough, they'll have it fulfilled from the Amazon warehouse. You can go ahead and actually have things shipped from the Amazon warehouse. And this is things that the boxes may be a little damaged for some reason. So something that might not look the prettiest, but you end up saving anywhere from like 30 to 50% off of whatever you're trying to buy.
So not certified refurbished.
Correct. Not certified refurbished. This all does get at least opened up and looked at to make sure there's no damage. So that's probably just as good. But I've bought a few things recently that I've saved anywhere from like $40 to $60 on just because the box was damaged. So,
oh wow,
yeah, and you open it up, and I actually just got an air fryer yesterday, and it was the same deal. I opened it up.
I'm jealous of your air fryer.
I'm pretty excited.
I had one, and Caitlin returned it on me.
I haven't used it yet. I'm excited about it. But
is it on your registry or something, Ted? Why did you get it returned on you?
So in her fairness, the pan dented. So she was supposed to return it and get us another one, and then just basically said, no, we just want our money back, and I have yet to have one.
Well, go on Amazon and see, do a little bit of research, see if they don't have one that's, maybe from the Amazon warehouse, and you'll save yourself a ton of money. Boom. But the air fryer I bought, the box was in a little bit of rough shape, but I opened it up, pulled it out. There's not even a mark on the machine itself. So had
That's
some
good.
had some good luck with it. So saved myself a couple $100 probably. Just
a couple $100.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, you mean over the
course of.
Okay.
Yes.
How expensive was this air fryer? Jeez. Have you air fried anything yet?
No, we just opened it up last night. So.
What do you plan on frying in air?
So we have a recipe that I think actually your mom shared on Facebook about they're like zucchini chips that should taste close to like Cool Ranch Doritos. So pretty excited about that. They might not be exactly the same, but I love Cool Ranch Doritos.
Somehow,
you don't think it's?
I have a feeling you might be in for a slight disappointment, Chris.
No, I know what to expect, so I'm holding on to hope, but we'll see. Yeah, so that's just a quick little tip to try and save yourself a couple bucks if you don't mind a box that might be a little bent in or something.
Okay, well, we'll be following up with you on these Cool Ranch knockoffs.
The less Cool Ranch.
Yeah. The Dork Ranch of chips.
Yeah. But Tud, what do you got?
So I myself am not a coffee fan. Hot coffee is not my thing. For some reason, hot drinks in general, I can't do it. Like tea, coffee,
cocoa,
hot choco, hot cocoa.
Hot choco.
This 15.2% beer getting
yeah.
I'm not a hot beverage type of guy, so like iced tea is more my speed. Iced coffee a little bit, but I really like cold brew iced coffee, and so I could never make it properly. Couldn't do it. I would brew coffee, stick it in the fridge, try to make iced coffee. It always sucked.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, on Cyber Monday, Amazon was selling a cold brew iced coffee maker, which is basically just a jug with a thing in it that you stick the coffee inside and pour water and stick it in the fridge and cold brews the coffee overnight. And I got to tell you, it is the best coffee I've ever had. I'm telling you, I'm about to put Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts out of business and just start up my own little business, and people come from miles to drink the cold brew iced coffee that I made. So I recommend everybody out there, go get yourself a cold brew iced coffee maker from Amazon. They're like $20, and you'll save yourself money, so you'll have more beer money, and you'll have much better coffee.
Yeah, I can vouch for this one. I have one of these as well. I don't use it as often as I used to. We've converted over to a French press that we use every morning, but that's hot coffee. But the cold brew is pretty awesome. And fun fact, if you're one of the people that suffers from heartburn from hot coffee, cold brew is less acidic than hot coffee is. So just a fun fact.
Interesting.
If you like coffee, but it gives you a little bit of the heartburn, try the cold brew. It might actually help you out a little bit.
So thank you, everybody, for listening. We'd like to give a shout-out to the breweries that provided our beers today. So I'm going to go first with a shout-out to Goose Island for their Bourbon County brand stout, 2018 version.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Hardywood Brewing for their the original gingerbread stout back from 2015.
And I want to thank repeat on the podcast, Big Sky Brewing Company, with their 2018 Ivan the Terrible.
Please remember to follow us on social media. We have an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Untapped. Please follow Untapped for sure at DAWF Podcast. That way you guys can really engage with us and let us know what you think of the show. And you can also see all the cool stuff that we're getting into on a daily and weekly basis.
I think we got some good art this week on all of our brews. So you want to check these beers out.
Yeah. And just keep telling people about the podcast, because we're at 464 followers on Instagram. And when we hit 500, we might try and do something fun, a little bit of a giveaway.
We shouldn't couch it. We should just say we're going to do it.
Well, you never know. But what if we never hit 500?
Free stickers.
Then we don't have to worry about following through with that promise, do we?
True story. Yeah. Okay. So we are going to do a giveaway at 500. There, finally.
There you go. Officially announced on this podcast. When we reach 500, we will give away something for free to somebody. Make sure you hashtag follow the email at dawfpodcast@gmail.com. Send your comments, your questions, general thoughts. As always, your concerns, your hatred. We're still looking for that rival / frenemy / enemy to the pod. We have a lot of friends of the pod, but we're really looking for that one enemy that we can really get off on just beating the hell out of them.
That does not sound like an invite to email.
Every good podcast needs a heel.
Yes.
I thought we had Gary or whatever the hell his name was.
Oh,
we're the face in this match, and we need the heel to go off of. What is The Rock in Austin without one of them being a heel and a face?
I guess, yeah. Okay.
Also, make sure, by using the email, you let us know if you guys want a sticker. We have them. We're totally chock full of them. I have no room in my house for anything else because there's just so many stickers. So let us know.
Todd, is that a sticker on your shirt there?
It's probably a sticker on my beard. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also on your preferred listening platform, please make sure to give us a rating. It helps other people find us.
I just want to say thank you so much to everybody again. Keep spreading the word. Tell your friends. Be like, hey, this funny podcast I listen to every week, because it really helps. Word of mouth is the best advertisement. So if you enjoy us, if you like drinking alone with us, recruit some friends to do it with us.
Wait, word of mouth is the best advertisement? Are you telling me I shouldn't have taken out that billboard?
Yeah, no, that was a waste of money. Duh.
Oh, damn it. All right, I'll cancel the billboard and just tell a couple of people.
Considering there's only 4 people in Montana, I think they already all know about it.
That's a good point.
So with that, my name's Tud.
My name's Chris.
And I'm Obert. And remember, if you're drinking alone, do it with friends. You guys didn't even ask what was on the billboard.
What is on the billboard?
It's a picture of all 3 of us in Speedos.
Oh. That's why listens are up 10%.
Yeah.
That's a sexy